Hello guys, this is Doron's Movies, and today I'll be giving you top 5 most horrific projects of the old gods, covering various plots that affected the history of Azeroth significantly. So without further ado, let's get into the lore. Number 5. Deathwing. Deathwing was one of the 5 original dragon aspects and the leader of the Black Dragonflight. He pretty much had the hardest role of all of the dragons, as he was in charge of the earth and deep places of Azeroth. This of course meant that he had some contact with the old gods, and completely expectedly he'd succumbed to their whispers. Deathwing became the most powerful servant of the old gods, and he turned on his fellow dragons during the War of the Ancients. For thousands of years, he would disappear, only to return during the Second War, once again trying to lower mortal resistance and to allow the old gods to emerge. Only recently, however, he returned for the second time, more powerful than ever, shattering the bond between the elemental and the material plane. Because of this, the cataclysm was created that reshaped much of the landscape of Azeroth that we have today. This time, Deathwing was significantly more empowered by the old gods, and he had only one goal: to bring the Hour of Twilight upon the world. With great effort, he was defeated, taking the sacrifice of all of the power of the dragon aspects. With the fall of Deathwing, the old gods lost their most powerful servant, but they still remain with the ability to create another one just like him. Number 4. The Emerald Nightmare. Some 4,500 years ago, a strange formation of serenite occurred across Azeroth. This was, in fact, a direct corruption of the old god yogg'saron, and the druid Fandral Staghelm reacted to it quickly. He took branches of Nordrassil, and from them he created many world trees all over Azeroth, in Kalimdor, Eastern Kingdom and Northrend, with the main one being in Grizzly Hills, covering the biggest formation of serenite. This seemed like a solution for a time, but the druids were in for a big surprise. yogg'saron used the trees as conduits for the Emerald Dream, opening the door for the other old gods to corrupt it. Azeroth was the most active one, creating much of the Emerald Nightmare, a mobile corruption area within the Emerald Dream. The nightmare would prove to be a headache for years to come, threatening all realms of Azeroth aside from the material one. It was cut down many times across various occasions, most recently with the death of Xavius. However, it was never truly removed. Even though significantly dissipating, the threat is still there, destroying life with everything it touches. Number 3. The Curse of Flesh. The curse responsible for many races that we have today did significantly alter the history of Azeroth. After the old gods were defeated and imprisoned, the Titan Keepers were set as their jailers, as well as the Hand of the Titans on Azeroth. However, when the Pantheon was defeated by Sargeras, a great disturbance occurred in the minds of these Titanic Watchers. yogg'saron noticed this and used this weakness as a chance to escape by corrupting the Forge of Wills. The Forge was previously used to create many of the Titanforge servants, but now it infected not only the new creations, but also spread to the previous generation. The curse essentially caused a civil war between the Titanforged and broke the control the Keepers had over the planet. Generations later, almost all Titanforged would degenerate into beings of flesh and blood, losing many of their strengths. However, unexpectedly, the curse had other side effects, giving the corrupted qualities of necessity, courage, resolve, and heroism. Even though the Titanforged were significantly weakened and yogg'saron pretty much single-handedly shattered the grip of the Titans on Azeroth, not everything was tragic. Because of the Curse of Flesh, many new races were established, such as the humans, dwarves, gnomes, that continue to shape the planet in their own way and still do to this day. Number 2. The Black Empire. The old gods were sent to Azeroth with only one purpose: to find and corrupt the world soul. This is essentially their main project, and to accomplish this, they have done many things. The first step was creating settlements and creatures to serve them in order to expand their domain over the newfound planet. Eventually, they would take over almost all of Azeroth, creating the so-called Black Empire. When the elemental lords that were native to the world got in the way, they fought and enslaved them, only adding them to their growing army. The old gods absolutely dominated the entirety of the planet, but eventually the Titans would notice their presence. The old gods were defeated by the major Titan offensive and were imprisoned one by one, aside from Y'Shaarj, who died, subsequently creating the Well of Eternity. The Black Empire operation is the reason the old gods got to Azeroth in the first place, and had it been successful, that would have been the end of the world. And lastly, number 1. The Hour of Twilight. Essentially, the main goal of all of these projects I listed, the Hour of Twilight is one of the worst case scenarios for the planet of Azeroth. Ever since the old gods were imprisoned, they have been plotting in order to free themselves. The Hour of Twilight is this realization where they are finally free and able to control the entire planet. If this ever happened, all life would end on Azeroth and the mortal world would be twisted to reflect the essence of the old gods. Every single thing done by them has been but a small step in the grand scheme of things. The threat was the biggest during the time of Cataclysm, when Deathwing set out to fulfill this dark prophecy. Luckily, he was defeated as the dragon aspects completed their ancient purpose. Even though we are temporarily safe from their grasp, with the recent hints we have received, it is very much possible that this will happen once again on a much bigger scale than the first time. In this case, the mortals will have to fight to the last, otherwise the entirety of Azeroth will be consumed by these creatures of the void. Alright, and that is all I have for this video. Do say which projects you think were the most horrific, and don't forget to subscribe and like the video, as it really helps out and keeps all the content going. Thanks a lot for taking time out of your day to watch this video, and see you next time.